Good morning. We have another competing Christ to deal with. It's the Jesus of fundamentalism. Now, I grew up in what I call the sunny side of fundamentalism. And what I mean by that is that churches that were had some real rigidity and legalism, but not to an extreme fashion. I think one of the things we have to realize is that you can have all of your doctrine in a row. But if you lose the disposition of Jesus, the gracious character of Jesus, the kindness and sweetness and gentleness of Jesus, the receptivity of sinners that Jesus brings to the table, if you become, in such an effort to steer away from being the prodigal son, you become the elder brother and look down your nose at sinners, you've lost the essence of the gracious disposition of Jesus. And Jesus came not just to disseminate doctrine. He is not just a doctrinal kind of quotient, but rather he brought dispositional qualities. He has a character, a pathos, an ethos, a way of being. And part of what we do as a Christian is we model that, right? We model that. And we don't get out over our skis. We don't start hammering away at people when they disagree on issues of doctrine that are minor and are not central to the faith. We can have our own opinions, but fundamentalism tends to see all doctrines to an equal degree instead of seeing more of a hierarchy where things are built on other things and that there are things that are more important and more clear in the text. Interestingly, in Matthew 23:23, Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you tithe mint and dill and cumin and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others." In other words, he's saying, don't throw away the importance of being obedient, but man, you're missing the forest for the trees. You're misunderstanding that not everything is equal, and you've got to do the more substantive, more important things. Well, it's clear that one of the most important things is to love one another and to have a right disposition toward one another. The New Testament is filled with that injunction. And in that way, what happens with a fundamentalist vision of Jesus is that Jesus becomes a reflection of the rigidity of the fundamentalist. Instead, what I want to encourage you to do is to measure your life by the Jesus of the Bible, who showed himself to be a man who loved tax collectors and sinners and fellowshiped with them, who reached to the weakest and lowliest, and who didn't look down his nose at others. Instead, the people he really challenged were the hypocrites and the religious leaders who thought they knew everything and who were acting as legalists. So, we want to reject the Jesus of fundamentalism. And one of the reasons why is he's like on a diet program, he's a no-carb Jesus. No-carb diets are no fun. I had one time. It's a disaster. It was a disaster, not because it didn't work, but because it made you ornery, and it disrupted your life, and it made you upset internally because you longed to have the satisfaction of having some carbohydrates. It's okay to have some spiritual carbohydrates. And what I mean by that is you can't live off of them. But Jesus would like you to enjoy your life, and he would like you not to get lost in legalism. May the Lord encourage you. Reject the Jesus of fundamentalism in exchange for the Jesus of an evangelical gospel that carries not only doctrine, but disposition as well.